have to do the
sync
point.
point.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Mhm.
Yes, I remember how to podcast.
Attaboy.
You take 1 month off merely because you've been
'Cause you
doing an
forgot a bunch of
extremely
stuff.
strenuous tour, and also I had to finish my degree, and all of a sudden we don't remember how
Congratulations, by the
anything
way.
works. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I
Yes,
say finished the degree.
congratulations.
I think
Yeah.
it is still technically possible for me to have fucked up this last like dissertation bit badly enough that I like don't, but you know, inshallah, right? I get a degree soon.
Yeah, I was about to say we need to see you with the degree in your hands.
Oh, they don't do the graduation ceremonies till like October, so
What?
it's
Oh
going to
my
be a
God.
minute. Yeah,
What?
I know. It's crazy.
Wow. So,
Oh, the
we're gonna
sync
do
point.
3, 2, 1, mark.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, mark. Okay.
That sounded crispy.
Yes. All right.
All right.
We're here. We're podcasting.
All right.
Sick.
Welcome to Well, Where's Your Problem? It's a podcast about engineering disasters with slides that sometimes we accidentally take a month off from.
Sorry.
Which we've done multiple
sorry.
times.
Yeah, listen, we have a particular kind of work ethic,
The
and
bad
also
kind. It ain't the Protestant kind.
and also, yeah, and
Yeah,
also
no, the Catholic
neurodivergence.
kind.
Yeah. I mean, I missed you guys, and I
missed you
missed
too.
I missed the audience as well. I missed doing this. But
Don't tell them that.
if it,
Yeah.
you know, okay, fine, I resent all of them deeply, right? But like, if I had tried to do one of these while I was doing my like the end of my dissertation, my brain would have melted out of my ears live on air. Like, you think you've seen
Into
derangement
mush.
beforehand? It would have been, incomparable.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now we're all here. We're in a relaxed Zen type state.
A Zencaster type state, one might say.
Exactly.
I'm
Free
saying that
plug for the software that we all hate.
Well, I was going to get there. I was praising it. It's like when my dad says thank you to the ATM because when the robots rise up, they will remember his kindness and spare him.
Your dad believes in Rocco's basilisk, but for ATMs.
Yeah. The singularity is coming is kind of job one.
Let me finish the intro.
Sorry.
I'm Justin Rosniak. I'm the person talking right now. My pronouns are he and him. Okay, go.
I'm November Kelly. I'm the person who's talking right now. My pronouns are she and her. Yay, Liam.
Yay, Liam. Hi, I'm Liam McAnderson. My pronouns are he, him. And before we get too far into it, I have a plug, which is to say that my coworker's grandson needs a accessible van. We're going to drop the link in the description below. The Hogs are going to buy a van.
Yeah, I mean,
But the good kind, not the kind you buy for $3,600 somewhere in the Poconos and then your friend and you go to Atlantic City and try to steal the president's stuff.
Yeah, it's a pro-van podcast. We've been very clear about that.
That's right, baby.
Yeah, and I just want to thank everyone who came to the tour.
Yeah.
It turned out really good.
And if you didn't, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing bad happened at any of the shows, I think.
No, it's crazy. And I mean, we'll be like releasing the like edits of the shows, the recordings, as we, as those
run out of
kind
ideas for bonus episodes.
I have an idea. I'm just trying to schedule it, right?
Oh, is that with the guest topic redacted?
We'll talk about it. But like, but the reason why I'm being so oblique about that is because it sets up the only joke that I've thought of for the subject, so I don't want to spoil it.
I hardly knew.
Thanks to everyone who helped out with us on the tour. June, Corinne, Scooter. Who else was there?
Megan, Jay.
Megan and Jay. Yeah, obviously Jay because he's doing the edits.
He sent me an email that said, "I'm trusting you to not abuse this power." I don't know what that could have possibly meant, but buddy, I am going to abuse it.
Wait, which power?
I think I now have root access to his file server.
Oh, wow. I see.
Okay.
I don't know that I do, but Jay, the unfinished TF2 mods are coming.
Yeah.
Jay's cut parentheses Liam's version.
I'm downloading a bunch of documents from the War Thunder forums and storing them in here.
Bunch of 3D printed AutoSear files.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, what you see on the screen in front of you is a quite pleasant looking state park.
Yeah. I see
But
the
it's not going to end that
Merrimack,
way, is it?
the Merrimack River, which I assume is going to intersect with the Monitor River downstream.
I think it actually might.
You're kidding.
Merrimack is spelled differently when it's the boat, though, I think.
Well, they were spelling all kinds of stuff wrong back in the 19th century.
Well done,
yeah,
yes.
That's true.
Ah, nailed it. I'm gonna ace AP US history as well as criminology.
Oh, that means you don't have to take a class in college. Anyway, so this pleasant-looking Route 66 State Park, it's not supposed to look like this.
What?
It's supposed to be a town.
Oh,
Okay.
A town called Times Beach, Missouri.
Huh.
Yeah, I've read Greed Anarchist. Yeah, I've read Why Hope, the Case Against Civilization.
This is what the NIMBYs want. Eventually demolish every single building. But before we talk about the fate of Times Beach, Missouri, we have to do the goddamn news. Kraner won.
Hell yeah.
Fuck you.
Stay mad.
I really liked your. I like that. I really liked your. I am a hardened criminal in favor of Larry Krasner's pro-crime policies. Tweet.
Yes, that is true. This guy. So the big hobby horse right now for a lot of people in the Philadelphia Democratic machine is we're going to try and kick out our progressive prosecutor, Larry Krasner, who has been pissing off the establishment for a long time on account of
job.
Yeah, because he does his job.
It's the San Francisco playbook. It's the same thing they did to, is it Chaser Boudin? Is that how you pronounce his name? I hope so.
That sounds about right.
But yeah, it's the same thing of like, oh, we got a prosecutor who's too progressive, so the cops and like every other kind of force of evil out there is gonna like collaborate to try and rat fuck him.
Well, yeah. Once the FOP endorses a candidate, I sort of turn the other way. I do want to point out in Roz's response to the auto text from fuckface. What's his name? Dugan.
What's his name? Was it Dugan?
I don't give a
Vega or something.
Red Shoes Dugan. It doesn't matter is the thing, because he lost.
Yeah, he lost. Exactly.
He
the other guy
capitalized both W's in Wawa.
Yeah.
That's how I know you're not fucking from here.
The Wawa camel case? That's deranged.
Yeah. That's some fuck shit. Wawa is not capital A or capital W lowercase a, capital W lowercase a. It's just W-A-W-A.
For the one in Wildwood.
Yes, that one's well. Okay, so that's not.
You do camel case in Wildwood and Wawa there, just for
Wildwood.
synchronicity.
Wildwood's a trip. I was in Wildwood last week. Fucking place never changes, man.
Well, Quebecois.
My note here just says congratulations to Ozempic Patton Oswalt.
Gone off that Zem.
And if you think that's a cruel thing for me to be saying about Larry Krasner, I am Ozempic November Kelly, so it's fine. I'm allowed to. I have like epistemic privilege. I can say that.
There you go. So yeah, this is good for the city. This seems to be the only place where progressives seem to be consistently winning anywhere is DAs. I don't know why.
Well, there is an addendum to that, which is if you live in New York City, vote many times and illegally for Zoran Mamdani for mayor of New York City, because he has a decent shot against.
It's looking more promising there.
If I have to hear from Cuomo one more fucking time, I'm going to. You'll have to bleep this, Devin. I'm 9/11.
Yeah, I mean the thing is he's within touching distance of Cuomo, and that's the last distance you want to be of Cuomo.
I was about to say, probably want to avoid that.
For more, see our Cuomo episode.
Yeah. But is Zoran gonna bring home the ZD? Yeah.
By the way, can someone explain to me? Right, I don't have a dog in this fight. Right, I don't go to your country. But can someone explain to me why neither AOC nor Bernie have endorsed that guy yet? Because it's fucked up that they haven't at this point.
It's there could be a lot of reasons. It could be a timing thing. Sometimes people like to wait a bit so it's fresh in the minds of everyone. Sometimes it's like, okay, we need some kind of, someone's got to pull some strings in the background. There's probably all kinds of internal politicking we're not even aware of. I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of like horrible,
liberal bullshit.
Liberal bullshit
you
going
think
on.
AOC is like working tirelessly towards an endorsement?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
You know what? The older I get, the more I'm just like, all right, November Kelly is Stalin. Let's do it. Turn it to the top, folks.
Exactly. Voting for November Kelly for Stalin.
Yeah,
listen.
I put my dad there. He's whatever.
Yeah.
He's a million. He's deranged. He's not a sexual predator. He's just insane.
I support
Liam's
your
dad is
doing.
running for Mao.
Yeah. I don't think I'd be a good Stalin. I think I'd be a good like one of the guys Stalin shot, like who like went to his death being like, sure, whatever. It's all for the revolution. I'm sure it'll turn out fine. That's my niche, I think.
My dad's Twitter bio, because he's not allowed to go on Twitter anymore because it raises his blood pressure too much. A real thing that happens.
Oh,
it starts with unrepentant leftist.
Hell yeah. I mean, you'd hate to have a repentant leftist, right?
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. He's going out both middle fingers up, I think.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So
all right. So just my dad for Mao. Whatever, man.
Yeah.
Who cares? Planet's doomed. Let's do this.
Climate Mao. Everybody start making solar panels in your backyards.
Yeah. We're bringing back Lysenkoism, folks. Yeah. In other news, the Pope is from Chicago.
Oh, that accent. Yeah. The Lord said, "Go Sox."
Go Sox. Yeah. Wrong Sox though.
Doesn't matter. Close enough.
He's not the guy I would have picked for it, but then they don't let me pick the Pope either. It turns out. So I do think that I have an inkling, right? Which is that as popes go, this is going to be a relatively woke pope.
I think he's going to be I think this is going to be a pretty good pope. Things are looking good. I mean, he's continuing a lot of Pope Francis's policies. He's going after Opus Dei right now, which is hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, also because like the thing that I want to see from a pope is, and I think why he got this job in the first place, is to yell at American like MAGA conservatives and try.
That is also the impression I got, and also it's like a compromise because having an American pope, these sorts of tradcath guys who want to, create a new kind of Protestantism are kind of like, well,
they just want to do prosperity gospel bullshit nonsense, and then dudes paying $40,000 for boot cancer because their dads failed them bullshit.
Yeah. You ever see a guy get elected for what might be like a 20-year term purely to write one encyclical that starts "Listen up, fuckface"?
Yeah. Well, no, there's also going to be the encyclical on a prohibition on Catholics putting ketchup on hot dogs.
I like ketchup on hot dogs.
Gonna get a real like dogmatic ruling on what shape a pizza should be.
Exactly.
It should be a casserole of some kind for some reason.
No, maybe it's tavern style.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like a deep dish. Like you can't really get them here, but in principle, I like a deep dish.
A deep dish is like a once in a while thing. Tavern style is like you can have that a bunch. Deep dish is it's too expensive is the thing. Like you can't just get it ordered. You have to go to a restaurant.
Everything's too expensive, man.
It's weird that you get that as an encyclical in English verbatim. The other thing about this guy is that he's kind of Peruvian, right? Which it means that this is a generational endorsement for the idea that if a white boy is sensitive enough, he can kind of become Latino.
I mean, this is a big leap for Pan-Americanism. I mean,
we are going to close the Darien Gap.
The Darien Gap. We're finally going to put a railroad through the Darien Gap.
Yeah, we're going to do it. Pope Leo, close the Darien Gap. I am tired of riding my armored motorbike.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be like anything else, right? Where you see any of the stuff that hews to a kind of basically pastoralist kind of woke Catholicism, where you're going to see all of the pro-migrant stuff, which is fully in line with that, or all the Catholic social teaching stuff, and people are going to be like, and you're telling me this guy's a reactionary. And then you're going to see all of the anti-abortion, all of the like anti-queer and anti-trans stuff, and people are going to be like, so you're telling me this guy's supposed to be a liberal? It doesn't mean anything.
No, he's the Pope.
He's the Pope. That's his job now. The fucked up thing is that he has brothers and who will like make themselves available to the media because the church doesn't like sequester you for that anymore. And he's got like one woker kind of like shitlib brother, and he's got one MAGA chud brother. So you get one brother each for like MSNBC and Fox.
They just go back and forth. Maybe they teleport. Who's to say?
Yeah. I'm excited to hear from both of those guys for the rest of my life.
This is also going to be the guy who's probably, starting to set up Vatican III, which I think is
already.
Well, it's probably still like 15 to 20 years off.
Yeah, let me in the fucking building. Also, when I said in my life, I really hope I live longer than that. But, if I don't outlive the Pope's MAGA brother, then, Holy Father, I assume you listen to the podcast. You speak English better than any of the previous ones. The last Pope who spoke English spoke Middle English. So, like, I assume you listen to the podcast. Can you just fucking like chill?
Let her in.
Yeah, we gotta start more aggressively steering the tiller towards it's okay to be gay.
Yeah.
But it is the church is an oil tanker, not a skidoo.
I like the visual of Pope Leo hanging on for dear life in Wildwood Crest.
you know what it's been? You know what it's been too long since we've had, in my opinion, is a gay Pope, right? Because like, when's the last time you had like, obviously, okay, they can't be like gay, but like sometimes you just know, right? When you see a gay priest, right? When was the last time we had a like ambiguously gay Pope, and why isn't it now? I think it would do wonders. Bring back a whole like medieval Renaissance vibe.
What's that word that Pope Francis used?
Throchage,
Yeah,
we can't say that.
But I can. Yeah. The late Pope of like dear memory used to say that there was too much throchage in the Vatican, and then when he got called on that, he apologized, and then the next week he said it again, which I can't.
Double down, baby.
How are you not supposed to like? I don't care what he called me. That's a funny thing. I feel affection for the guy.
It's a beautiful word, like everything in Italian.
Absolutely. So yeah, American Pope is crazy, and Villanova, I assume, are going to be normal about this.
Yeah, well, that's I would call him Chicago Pope, but people are trying to say he's a Philly Pope.
He's not. Like, Villanova is not
Villanova's
a Philly
not
school.
In Philly.
Villanova is not a Philly school. We have two legitimate Catholic universities. We have the good one, St. Joe's, alma mater of my beloved wife, and we have LaSalle, alma mater of my less beloved father-in-law.
But if you look at the scoreboard, 0 popes.
Pope Francis did visit St. Joe's and yet did not visit Villanova.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What did he know?
World leaders right now who have probably been to Wawa.
I mean, the Pope and Bibi Netanyahu going to the same Wawa. Yeah, troubling.
Oh, what the world's worst meet cute. My AO3 page is gonna look like fucking Chernobyl.
Enemies to lovers arc, slow burn coffee shop AU.
I'd read that, yeah. Craig Pope is what I'm saying.
I think that gets you excommunicated, and you just got in.
I just got here. When I come back, when they make me Pope, you're coming with me, Nova.
Oh, sure.
I'll handcuff you to me like what's her name did to the Twitter door.
Yeah, I'm Stalin. Your dad's Mao. You're Pope. We just got to find a job for Justin. It's fine.
Vice Regent of the Swiss Guard.
Yeah.
Whatever they use. Come on, man. You get an MP5 and a funny hat.
No,
What's not to like?
I do want the funny hat.
Yeah, you wouldn't be so good with an MP5.
No, probably not.
Your accuracy
The last thing I got to say about the Pope, right, is they really threaded the needle on this one, right? Because he's a compromise candidate in the funniest possible way, which is that on indications he's like a woke Latin mass guy, which is so fucking funny as a combination of aesthetics and politics. It's like I have high hopes that this is the guy who brings back the like incredibly heavy crown and they're being carried around in a big chair being fanned with like ostrich feathers and shit. But he's also like woke by Catholic standards. That's the dream.
Well,
trans people are made in the image of God,
but
I can only say this in like high church Latin.
Yeah.
Well, he picked Leo as his name because he's like, a big fan of Rerum Novarum. So,
God says join a union.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
AMDG, baby.
Yeah. In a jarring shift in tone.
Ban cars. No,
different
that's
one.
the next
different
slide.
one.
Okay.
No,
jump the gun, so to speak.
These are all the bits of stochastic terrorism now happening against, on the one hand, Israeli diplomats, and now like pro-Israel marchers. And I think we file this firmly in the "what the fuck do you expect is going to happen" column.
Yeah.
Again,
I mean, once you've lost my mother, I don't know.
Disorganized political violence was always going to result from, doing the genocide. I mean,
100% accurate, man.
That's just there. It was very, very, I'm surprised it, took this long.
Yeah, somebody is going to be like desperate or deranged or despairing enough that they decide that what they want to do is to like kill some people. And I mean, this is after, mind you, over a year of showing people that nothing works, right? Like, protesting peacefully doesn't work. Like writing your congressman doesn't work. Well, exactly, right? And so it's not really a surprise that somebody who's at the most like extreme end of like emotion for that decides, okay, well, maybe the thing that's going to work is setting other people on fire, which it isn't. But you see how someone gets to that,
connects those dots, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we don't have. I mean, you can't do organized political violence because we don't talk about that on YouTube.
I mean, it kind of
we're going to rumble.
It kind of just doesn't happen anyway. Like at least the way things are set up, something would have to change for that to be possible. And so instead you get this, which is it's like a car not going into gear. It's like it's purposeless, senseless violence. Like
the thing that has really gotten me about the way pros, like I've said a billion times, I'm an anti-Zionist Jew. Nation states shouldn't exist in the first place, and my people don't need one, especially colonization, so on and so forth. But one of the things that really strikes me is the tone of the pro-Israel. Like that Lindsey Graham tweet. Greta Thunberg is going to, as far as I know, run the blockade. Something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's just this mean-spirited bullshit nonsense. I mean, fucking. I know you're not wearing a shirt that says "dog milf."
Well, listen. I mean,
what are you gonna do?
Don't worry about it.
All right, roll tide.
Roll damn tide.
I just and like Fetterman too. It's just this mean-spirited bully shit where it's just like I know the guy's brain doesn't work anymore, but it's just so fucking. It's that MAGA like who are you trading? It's like people are fucking dying. People are starving in the streets. And regardless, I would say almost regardless of your positioning on Israel Palestine, which should be that Israel, that one state called country, one language called language, and one currency called Liam bucks.
Yeah.
As we've stated, official podcast position. I think what gets me the most is just like you can't fucking talk to these people.
No,
they're all fucking cuckoo bananas. And I don't necessarily endorse gunning people down in the streets, but like I think the answer is what the fuck did you expect? If you're being exposed 24/7 to horrific images of children dying in the streets, you're gonna lose your shit a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, nobody's really equipped to deal with the notion that like there is nothing that can be done to stop this, right? Which is what it increasingly seems like, and it seems like that more every day for the last fucking 14 months or whatever the fuck it is. like, obviously that's gonna like push some people over the edge. And like the it's impunity again, right? Like, and all of this stuff indirectly kind of benefits that, because then you get to say like, the entire world is so anti-Semitic that it produces this kind of like anti-Israeli terrorism, and therefore Israel continues to have like a kind of moral duty to commit this genocide, right? Like I don't.
I see.
Know.
I mean, I see those takes, and I'm just like, listen, man. Like, like I have been subject to anti-Semitic attacks when I was growing up. I would call them attacks. They weren't. They were just because I was Jewish, and like, I don't know. Like the people I know. I mean, I'm sure. Like I've said this to Roz, is like, I don't really think there's a meaningful anti-Semitic problem on the left. I mean, there is, you know.
You get conspiracy theorists
right,
for
course,
sure.
You get some conspiracy
but I think
theorists
that
every once in a while.
I've said to Roz, and I do believe this, that the language of anti-Zionists can creep towards those tropes.
Oh, sure.
But once you set someone down and they're just like, hey, man, like, we probably shouldn't be using the phrase Zionist-occupied government because that's Turner Diary shit.
Yeah.
You know? But, like, I think I can't wrap my mind around, like, the thing that actually really kind of gets me is, like, no one's Tel Aviv, and they probably should be at this point. You'll have to bleep that, I guess.
Yeah. Like, nobody who has the power to do that will.
Right.
And like, the only people who have the like will to do that don't have the power to do that. Right. You know, like,
I'm reminded of that that imam on Memory TV. Yes, I support LGBT. Let's go bomb Tel Aviv.
Happy Pride Month to you too.
I just the mind hunts for an explanation, and it's just like, I mean, I don't know. Sorry, Dev BB. Send him to the Hague. You know, I'm so exhausted, and like, not to make it about me again, but like, I'm so exhausted of watching horrific crimes be committed in my name, and then watching people who aren't Jewish turn around like Fetterman and be like, "Aren't you grateful for this?" Fucking no, I'm not.
It's like, I'm
happy when we're not massacring innocent people.
It's the same as like the Trump stuff, where you look at it and you go, okay, well, all the stuff that's already happened, right? Not even the stuff that's going to happen that they say they're going to do, that we know that they're going to do. But like, even the stuff that's already happened is like so bad that there's no way back from it other than like, and this is the minimum like shitlib position, like war crimes trials, right? Like, you need to have some kind of like massive Nuremberg scale, and that's not even like a huge fucking sell on Nuremberg because they let a lot of people off the hook, but you need to have some kind of like formal process to say that the ideology that produced this can't exist anymore, whether that's for the MAGA shit, whether that's for Zionism. It just like, if it leads to this, the only way out of it is through like something like that, and there's no sign that that's going to happen for either of those ever.
These are my corrective shotguns, truth and reconciliation.
Yeah.
Yes. But like, I would like to emphasize, we do not endorse disorganized political violence.
No, we do not. You can read Trotsky on like individual terrorism, right? Yeah. Like it's adventurism, but like, you see why it happens, and it's not like to set your personal feelings about it aside. Like it's also like, how do you think this is going to end? Whether that's, you know, in either like the US or Israel, like, do you think it ends with like a Democrat getting elected, or like a guy who believes 80% of what Bibi believes getting elected, but who has like slightly less oppositional defiant disorder and slightly less corruption, so he's not going to, you know, perpetuate the genocide to stay out of jail in part? Like, of course not. That's it. This is setting things, or has set things for a long time, on a path to which, you know, the ending is something even worse than this, something like almost incomprehensible. Yeah,
you know, this is an ugly situation. You can understand the motivations here, but also, I once again, I don't think disorganized violence like this is going to help. This is an ugly situation.
Yeah. No, for real.
Yeah, if you're looking for an endorsement of disorganized political violence on an engineering disasters podcast that we have to host on a Google product, you can figure out how.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you know.
Right.
Anyway, I recommend to the listener, do not go out and do something like this.
There's a bunch of fundraisers, some of which are going to be in the
Yeah,
description.
follow Devon.
Exactly.
And again, okay, yeah, sure, that raises the same question of like, this is a kind of drop in the ocean, but you still have to do it.
You have to do it. You are morally compelled to do it. In all seriousness, follow Dev. They're doing a great job on fundraising to get people to safety and out of Gaza. You are morally compelled to help people. That is your duty as a human being. That is the deal you cut.
Yes.
If you don't like it, fuck off to Mars. You can take Elon with you. All right. You want to go?
That'd be a quick way to go. Anyway, in other news,
now ban cars.
Yeah, ban cars. This is just a quick one from me. It's a UK update. Yeah. So the good news is, bafflingly, no one died in the course of this. But so Liverpool football team won the FA Cup, I think.
Football Association.
Yeah. Big parade through the middle of town.
Right.
The team was there, all the supporters are there. Great, good time for everyone. They close off all the streets. But then somebody has like a heart attack or whatever, so they have to open one of the barriers to let an ambulance through. And some guy who is just like driving, right, tailgates that ambulance through the thing, gets immediately stuck in a crowd full of people because the road's closed and he's not supposed to be on it. And I mean, this is all like in court at the moment, so I'm kind of limited on what I can say about it. But like, I don't know why, but it seems like then just runs a bunch of people over. And this is not like a huge like Ford F-150 type situation. This is like a what do you call like a people carrier in American? Like a minivan? A minivan. Yeah, it's a minivan.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a big like war vehicle, right? It's just a completely normal like large family car. Just driven into the crowd by someone for we don't really yet know why, and injures like 100 people, like just straight down the street. And it's
cars.
Absolutely like miraculous that nobody died. There's a couple of things here. The ban cars thing is where I'm going to finish this up. The other thing is, because of the like Southport thing and the riots, all of the usual suspects, all of these like far right influencers, were all immediately assuming and hoping that this was like some kind of Muslim domestic terrorist attack.
Of course.
And had already kind of pre-announced that. And so that pushed the cops into having to announce, hey, we've arrested a white British guy, like within an hour.
Well, so you were just saying terrorist. I mean, but you repeat yourself.
Well, exactly, right. But the thing is, they're not charging it as terrorism. I don't think they're even charging it as attempted murder. I think it's like GBH and dangerous driving.
What?
Oh my God.
But like, this is I think troubling, right? Because if you're setting the precedent that okay, well, when it's a white guy, and it's like when it's not a Muslim, we announce that to tamp all of this shit down, and we go, yeah, we arrested like sort of area angry white driver
Rude
for this
dickhead, right?
Yeah. Then what happens the next time it isn't a guy like that, and do you like not announce that and get the same riots thing again? Like, it's a really like uncomfortable precedent for the future. So that's the one thing. The other thing is that you just can't have a city center that's built for cars that you then close off for parades, and you can't do that consistently and safely without this being a thing that can happen.
Not to say, I mean, they have the last Super Bowl parade in Philly, they handled it much less well than they did the first one.
Yes, they did.
And they
didn't handle the first one all that well either.
They didn't handle the first one that well either. Well, I guess they didn't want to see people hauling kegs over the city hall gates.
We're fucking Philly, dude.
Yeah, and I know, right?
I fucking hate Sherelle Parker so much. I hate the fucking fun police. I hate that she comes here to suck up fun with her big old straw. Go Birds.
Yeah, go
Didn't
Birds.
someone
Just-
die at the second parade and not the first one?
I don't know, man.
don't remember.
Probably.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't even know
Ban
how well or
cars.
how badly they set up the like barriers for this. But it's driving, right? Like it's the kind of thing that driving like makes you do is go, well, fuck it, I can like tailgate this ambulance into the thing, and then you kind of find yourself in a situation where you set off what looks for a long second like a terrorist attack. Because you're like,
functionally is,
Yeah.
by the way.
yeah, because you're like, well, I want to drive my car down the road. And it's not even just like that guy's a unique kind of asshole, although he may well be. It's also that, like, he is literally on a road that's designed to do that has been closed off temporarily. Like, it's not wholly him. It's not wholly deviant or aberrant. It's also that we have designed everything in this country around cars, and we've designed it so that, like, we've had this ecosystem for like years at this point of being like, oh, latently, I can't wait until someone runs over those Just Stop Oil protesters or whatever.
Right.
And that builds that sense of like entitlement to the point that something like this happens. And it's like, if you want to have a like vibrant civic life, right, and if you want to have parades and stuff like that, then you have to decar all of these places in ways that are more permanent and more protective than this. And like,
Yeah.
I had this really uncomfortable revelation about this because I know this street. This is I think this was Water Street.
Why is there a Hooters here?
British Hooters. It is
British
cursed.
Hooters.
It is real.
We have to go.
Let's do a Liverpool live show. I'd be thrilled.
Yeah,
the
Liverpool
Hooters,
show would be
yeah.
really good. Yeah, go to the Hooters.
Okay, sure. But like, I've been on this street before because the Liverpool Pride March goes down it, and that's an uncomfortable sensation to think. Oh well, it was presumably protected using the same traffic strategy by the same people making the same decisions. This could have happened to fucking anything. Like, and it could have happened by someone who had like a different intention. It could have been worse. We don't know. Like, and so you can't do this. You can't be like, by the way, every street has to be this kind of like incredibly broad, like sign for traffic thing.
Right.
You need to pedestrianize shit, like urgently.
Everything, everywhere.
I don't know if you saw the article that came out recently where all the tech bros are like really excited because we're making the Waymos more aggressive.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I'm
so,
getting a harpoon gun.
so now we can get this exact thing, except there's nobody to pull out of the driver's seat. Just
That's
have
true.
a
That's
fucking
true,
like
yeah.
glorified Roomba with like a 5-ton car just decide to Mr. Mercedes an entire fucking city. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, not until I get my harpoon gun. Roz and I are going whaling.
I'm looking for the white Waymo.
Roll, boys, roll, as I just puncture an entire car full of tech bros.
Yeah, so like this guy's like in court. I don't know what's gonna happen to him, but like it almost doesn't matter at this point because whatever it is, it's not going to address anything systemic here. And the only thing that would be addressing something systemic would be to try and like wean city centers off of cars, because you don't like, I've been in Liverpool city center many times. You don't need a car to get around it. If anything, it's a hindrance, right? It's like you need the stuff you need to move around is like deliveries, like municipal services and the emergency services and public transport, right? There is a way to do that is so much safer, and also, by the way, is gonna fucking save the fucking planet because of the climate, rather than having like every dickhead in a Ford Galaxy be able to access every single street address in the middle of town for no reason other than their own like rage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. I mean, you know, let's start getting rid of these cars. This is a bad idea. We don't need them anymore.
All right, that's it. That's all I had for that.
That was the goddamn news.
All right, 40 minutes in, and we're talking.
40 minutes in.
Sorry, I had a lot to get off my chest.
No, you're not in trouble.
It's been a month.
All right, I have some self-disclosure here.
Okay.
So, my mother used to live in Missouri. That's it. That's a self-disclosure.
Okay.
Wow.
She's gonna love this. She's gonna love this bit.
Gonna have to recuse yourself.
No, I'm not recusing myself. I'm
No.
doubling down. Level the Midwest.
All
we
I
have
know
to
about
ask-
Missouri is that it loves company.
Level the Midwest. Do you know how many hills there are in the
Hold on. Let me
Midwest?
rephrase that. Turn the Midwest to glass. Is that better? I like Lake of the Ozarks can stay. Friend of the show, Katie, in Northwest, I believe Northwest or Northeast Arkansas can stay. That's it. That's it. I know Arkansas is not the Midwest, but for my purposes, it is. Oh, and Francis gets to stay.
Yeah, Francis. Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's all we're saving. Turn it to
all right.
glass.
So, first we must ask, what is Missouri?
A pointless wasteland full of the worst fucking people you've ever met. Also, Francis, and sometimes my mother.
It's home of Flight Simulator 2024's only unmarked challenge level of flying under that motherfucker right there.
Yeah, it's under the Gateway Arch, which is a terrifying structure if you see it in real life.
Don't we have to do an episode on that?
No, we're doing an episode about the Arch. Yeah.
Oh,
I think
fantastic.
Francis's brother is actually a park ranger there.
Okay, well, way to dox Francis's brother, man.
Well, no, I should. Well, okay, cut that out then. Anyway, so there's two things in Missouri: St. Louis and Kansas City. It was admitted as a state in 1821.
Oh, do you mean Kansas City, Missouri, home of the Super Bowl losing Chiefs?
Yeah, Kansas City, Missouri,
home
home
of Taylor
of the...
Swift's loser boyfriend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Travis lost the
exactly,
big
yeah.
game. Oh. She's not giving us Reputation Taylor's version. Go fuck yourself.
You may ask, why is Kansas City not in Kansas? And the
Urban
answer
sprawl.
is there's two of them.
Yeah,
There's one in
KCK and
Kansas, isn't there?
KCMO. Yeah.
Yeah, but the main part of Kansas City has always been in Missouri.
This is what happens when you build a city on the state line.
Yeah, and the real answer to that question is I don't know. I don't know anything about Kansas City.
They have good barbecue and they're home of the Super Bowl losing Chiefs.
I like their baseball mascot.
Yeah, go Royals, baby.
Yeah.
What else do I have to say about Kansas City? Don't people like the streetcar there? Is there like a touristy streetcar people like?
It has the one good Obama era streetcar, yes.
There we go.
Because it only goes in a straight line. And it actually has like some advantage over a bus, unlike the rest of them. Obama era streetcars. That's a future episode.
Put it on the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
We have a
what can you
spreadsheet?
do in?
Does it say-
Yeah, we have a spreadsheet.
We do have.
I think it's on there.
It's okay. Weird
so-
cheese, fried ravioli.
Fried
Racism.
ravioli?
Fried ravioli. I had some fried ravioli
That
at
does-
the
yeah,
airport.
fried
and
ravioli
It was
sucks.
actually
Let me
it was
Google
really
this-
good.
Google
Yeah,
this shit
yeah,
out
it was
of
really good.
It's
I mean, it looks like a fried ravioli. I don't know what I expected, but like, I don't want this. I don't.
yes, you do.
No,
it's
this is
pretty
like
good.
white boy falafel. This is horrifying. No.
You know what food, Roz, I'm surprised you don't eat more of is falafel. I feel like you would fuck with some good falafel.
No, I like falafel. I'm
I know
just
you
not
do.
usually in a position to acquire falafel easily.
You are in the halal cart capital of the Western Hemisphere, and you don't have.
Yeah. Guess
Regular
what? The
falafel.
the two halal carts nearest me are like a half a mile.
Oh, the one at the mosque?
The good one over at the American Institution for Islamic Charitable Projects. Yeah.
This
That
is
one's
how
like-
Alea was able to dox you, is because you triangulated your position perfectly with two halal cards.
And the peacekeeper
no,
is
I would
coming
I would
now.
need three halal carts.
Yeah,
for that to
otherwise
be
it's just
possible.
it's just a line otherwise, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
No, it's fully not. If you say I'm half a mile from point A and point B, you draw a circle around point A, you draw a circle around point B that has an intersection at like.
All right, fine.
That
I'll
has
say it.
two
Roz's home
intersections.
address is
so St. Louis, Missouri. Missouri. You can see the arch. You could go see some significant architecture, like the Wainwright Building here.
It does look
the
pretty cool.
skyscraper that was the skyscraper and still is.
We've talked about it before many
yeah.
times.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
go see the Blues play.
There's a Hooters across the street from it, but not in this picture.
Hooters is everywhere,
gave the
man.
world. It gave the world the new American Gothic, which is this couple.
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
You can go see some racism.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a what is that a SIG like P230? Like What the fuck is she cooking with there?
Racism.
It might be a
probably
P230.
a cross on a
Like,
black couple's lawn, frankly.
That's too cool of a gun to be handled by that racist of a woman, I think.
Yeah. See, this is why this was this was a people threatening a peaceful Black Lives Matter protest, and I'm here to say we should have armed Black Lives Matter protesters with 50 cal sniper rifles.
Well, I mean, it's like, again, the kind of impossibility of organized. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's just crazy that nothing happened.
Give me a 50 cal. I'll be responsible with it.
You could go see Union Station. You can go see the last piece of Penn Station over here.
Oh, that's some sick mowing.
Oh yeah. No, they mow that lawn really good. I haven't been there though, so I can't. Maybe this was a publicity photo. What else? You go see the City Museum and get stuck in a coil.
What?
Excuse me?
So the St. Louis City Museum is a very strange place built by a very strange man. And it's like a bunch of kinetic sculptures and outsider art and a bunch of weird stuff. They got a whole floor that's just terracotta from demolished buildings. They got a whole floor that's like they have a 10-story slide, they have a 5-story slide, they have a place where kids can go crawl under the floor and get stuck there. They have
so it's just the booby trap jungles of Vietnam.
My god, there's so many ways a kid could get hurt everywhere in there.
Terrific. Yeah,
you know what else
endorsement. Bring your kids to the City Museum.
No, it's great. Yeah, there's an outdoor section where you crawl through like coils in order to get into a fighter jet that's like perched precariously on a thing. The City Museum is like they got like an indoor there's so many ways to injure yourself in there. You know what else they have? Bars.
Incredible. This is maybe the greatest city on earth.
Oh my god, it was so good. It was so good going to the City Museum. I'm a great fan. So I should have put some pictures in here.
Yeah, I was distracted looking at airsoft guns. Because I'm normal.
There's a school bus on a roof that's half perched on the outside.
Cool.
Yeah. That's the main thing in Missouri, I think, is the City Museum. Everything else sucks.
Okay. All right. Summarized perfectly.
Yeah. Oh, and also St. Louis Union Station is a bizarre, incredible architectural space, which I never experienced anything like it in my life. Just you think there's no American Art Nouveau? Knocked my
think again, dickhead.
Yeah, that was a mind-blowing thing to go into. Anyway, so Missouri, it's a mixed bag. But now we must ask, what is Times Beach?
I recognize this photograph from the map we saw in slide 1.
Yes. So, the idea of Times Beach, this is a fantastic vacation destination right by the scenic Merrimack River.
Which they have misspelled in the thing. Or unless it's the spelling changes every time you look at it.
That could be the case, yeah.
I mean, this looks not bad. I mean, this looks like some of the campgrounds in Cape May, but
very ominous photo that they've used on that ad, though. It's like come and buy this. Get a timeshare in this horrifying location.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been to Eggleston, New Jersey. Yeah, go ahead.
This is sort of a largely auto-oriented resort town, right? On the beautiful Merrimack River. And this is based on a simple deal with the St. Louis Times, right?
Why?
Pay $10 down and $2.50 monthly. And for the low price of only $67.50 total, you get a 20 by 100-foot lot and also a 6-month newspaper subscription.
Oh, they were desperate, huh?
Yeah, so I assume that just like the guy who owns the newspaper, because it was just a guy then. Oh, I guess it is a guy now again, because it's just Jeff Bezos. Just was like, also, I have a real estate development. Please help me.
Yeah, and so is the idea then when you say auto like an autofocus thing, that you drive like an RV or like
You
a trailer
drive
there.
A 1925 RV.
It's
My
1920.
jalopy.
Yeah. You drive your jalopy out to Times Beach, which is about, I think, 25 miles away from downtown St. Louis.
Okay. And then, so you drive there, it takes you 4 hours.
Yes.
All of you get like hernias and sciatica from the suspension.
Yes.
And then you, with your own two hands, you being, the silent generation, build a vacation house for yourself. And then
Yes.
as you put the last nail in, a newspaper thrown by the paper boy, which they used to have back then, hits the house and then the whole thing collapses.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Most of the houses when the development was built were built on stilts because the Merrimack River likes to flood.
Oh, this is getting better and better.
Yeah.
I'm sure this won't come up again.
But anyway. So, it admittedly, okay, this is a great deal because you get a plot of land where you build your house and a newspaper subscription, which is worth about the same because the economy was weird. And this starts off pretty good, right? This was a deal a lot of people took up. This is 1925, right? Bad stuff started happening pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's 1925 in Missouri, dude. I mean,
the Great Depression means no one can buy a vacation house. And then after the Great Depression, of course, you got the war, which means no one can afford the gasoline to go out to their vacation house.
Well, they can't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just rationing. So over a long period of time, especially as travel patterns change after the war, this town goes into a steep decline. It's mostly like lower middle class permanent residents by the time our story starts in 1971. There's not many people and there's not much to do in Times Beach.
Just one kid throwing newspapers at empty houses.
Exactly. It's like, damn, why did we leave the contract going that long? No, the Times had been bought by the Post-Dispatch.
I just put together that it's called Times Beach because it's presumably named for the St. Louis Times.
Yes.
Oh, that's smart. Okay, I would never have thought of that. Okay, sure.
Yeah, that's why Roz is the showrunner and you and I are just heckling him.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, it's Justin. So this is a commercial for the podcast that you're already listening to. People are annoyed by these, so let me get to the point. We have this thing called Patreon, right? The deal is you give us $2 a month, and we give you an extra episode once a month. Sometimes it's a little inconsistent, but it's $2. You get what you pay for. It also gets you our full back catalog of bonus episodes, so you can learn about exciting topics like guns, pickup trucks, or pickup trucks with guns on them. The money we raise through Patreon goes to making sure that the only ad you hear on this podcast is this one. Anyway, that's something to consider if you have $2 to spare each month. Join at patreon.com/WTYP pod. Do it if you want. Or don't. It's your decision, and we respect that. Back to the show. So in the meantime, on the other side of the state, in Verona, Missouri, there's a chemical plant owned by Hoffman Taft.
Oh no,
right?
Are we gonna have to do OChem again?
I'm not doing too much of it.
Thank you.
Hoffman Taft was producing strategically important chemicals for the military, namely Agent Orange.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, cool. Okay. I'm sure this won't have a kind of like moral injury that kind of leaks out into the soil of not just Vietnam, but also in a metaphorical sense, the United States, right? And literal sense.
Hold that thought.
Oh boy.
But this is a relatively flexible facility, right? It had some extra capacity. So this company, Hoffman Taft, leased some of the space to Northeastern Pharmaceuticals and Chemicals Company.
Oh yeah, the shit that the Joker fell into. Yeah,
it's so cool that if you're like a chemistry graduate, right, this is one of the two kinds of companies you can go and work for. You can go and work for the like we are poisoning Vietnamese children company, or you can go and work for the nice civilian we are poisoning American children company.
Yes. Well, French children, but yes.
It's like what do we do here at like Incorporated Petrochemicals? Well, mostly we get a paintbrush and we baste every toaster sold with a thick layer of hexavalent chromium, so that if you touch it, you get cancer and die. I'm not entirely sure why we do this, but we kind of, it's good business.
Yeah, it looks nicer.
Yeah, it does.
The chrome is shiny.
One of these days we're gonna
get 50 years later, you get boomers complaining like, why don't the toasters look shiny anymore? Well, everyone I know died of cancer.
Yeah, so we're gonna do the episode one day on the company that made everybody stupid that Ross and I have been to.
Yeah.
Speaking of chemical processes.
So the Northeastern Pharmaceuticals and Chemicals Company, or NEPACO, right? They start occupying the space in 1969. They were going to use the facility to make this guy here on the top, right? Which is hexachlorophene.
Uh-oh.
That sounds bad. I'm not thrilled about any of the syllables in that.
And hexachlorophene is actually manufactured in a similar process to Agent Orange, but it's different, right? It's an antibacterial chemical which was used in soaps and toothpastes and disinfectants, right?
Okay. All right.
And then they found out later
we put this in your body.
Yeah, they found out later it was extremely highly toxic. And if some of these products were manufactured wrong, it would cause severe brain damage. So in 1972, products containing this chemical were pulled from the market. I believe right after 36 infants in France were killed by improperly produced talcum powder.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Yeah. So anyway, the process for making hexachlorophene involves some big organic chemistry nerd shit where you react formaldehyde with 2,4,5-trichlorophenol, and then there's a bunch of complicated stuff with the reaction that happens, and you get your hexachlorophene, but you get a fun byproduct called 2,3,7,8 tetrachloral dibenzo P-dioxin.
Not thrilled with the last two syllables of that particularly. I love being a perfectly innocent and morally neutral civilian and going to work and reacting formaldehyde with 2,4,5-trichlorophenol to create 2,3,7,8 tetrachloral dibenzo P-dioxin.
So I bet this kills weeds really, really good.
Oh yeah, no question. Makes a toaster shiny as fuck as well.
This is like my dad's mom insisting on using bootleg DDT well into the 90s.
You've got to use this on the clear coat on like a car because it shines like nothing else.
There's no eagles around. It's fine to use DDT. So anyway, yeah, this big long word, we're just going to call it TCDD for a while. Of the several chemicals known as dioxins, this is the most toxic one, right? It's pretty bad, but mostly it's bad if it's in like relatively large quantities. But what constitutes a large dose varies widely by species. I mean, because there's like instances where, some animals just keel over and die instantly, and others are like, they shake it off. I mean, it's sort of a Calvin ball kind of toxin.
Oh, right? Good.
I love to hear the phrase Calvin ball toxin.
Yeah, if there's one adjective I want to associate with my chemical toxin, it's unpredictable.
Yeah, very unpredictable. It does
something unpredictable, but in the end, it's very fatal.
This was also present as a contaminant in the production of Agent Orange.
Wait, so there's contaminants in my Agent Orange.
Well, yes, because arguably this is the worst chemical in Agent Orange.
Oh Jesus, okay.
The other two are, they're defoliants. They're not necessarily designed to hurt people.
I always forget, based on the wanting to beat Robert McNamara to death with my bare hands thing, that they weren't like Agent Orange was primarily not intended to give a bunch of children birth defects and stuff. It was
Right. Yes,
like,
that was not the intent. The intent
Yeah,
of it. It
sort
just
of
happened, and largely
yeah,
probably because of everyone in Vietnam ingested huge amounts of this particular contaminant in Agent Orange. But since the hexachlorophene was not intended as a defoliant to be used in war, it was intended to be used on soaps and talcum powder and toothpaste. Of course, they tried to get rid of as much of it as possible. So Nepico simply distilled the hexachlorophene.
Oh,
right.
It's the world's worst whiskey.
Exactly. This, of course, leaves a nasty oily residue on the bottom of the still that's full of the TCDD. And in chemical processing, we call this horrible oily residue bottoms.
I mean, yeah, we've all known some horrible toxic oily bottoms. For pride.
Mm-hmm.
It's
so Nepico originally dealt with these bottoms by sending them to an incinerator in Louisiana.
Yeah, give us another couple of Pride months under Trump, they'll be trying that shit again.
This was expensive and time-consuming, though. They wanted a better, cheaper way to handle all the bottoms. So they contract with the Independent Petroleum Corporation, right, which is a chemical supply company, but they don't actually deal with waste oils themselves. So they, in turn, subcontracted this job out to a man.
Just a guy?
Yeah. Russell Martin Bliss.
Okay.
He was a man with a truck and a shed with some tanks in it.
Listen, if a guy with a truck can't handle some bottoms, what is America coming to these days?
This is a good point, yeah. Now, based on It's Always Sunny, I believe the guy in the truck may be the bottom. So Bliss picked up the still bottoms and he brought them to his facility in Frontenac, Missouri, apparently unaware that what he had picked up was much nastier than his usual line of business, which was used motor and transmission oils.
Yeah, I'm just going to kick this out the back of the truck, huh?
This being pre-woke, you just poured that on the ground,
Well, there was at least one instance where a truck came into his property overweight and got pulled over by the police, and they just dumped the waste. They dumped the still bottoms directly onto Bliss's property.
Wow.
And covered it up with some dirt.
Fuck you.
And I believe the farm across the street had 70 chickens die and one dog.
Oh,
Jesus.
So anyway, he dumped the horrible dioxins into the main tank.
Great.
With all the other waste motor oil and transmission oil, and there was some sense of environmental responsibility here, because Russell Bliss did keep transformer oil in a separate tank because that was full of PCBs. But this wouldn't win in the main tank.
You get the sense that nobody told the guy shit, or he wasn't paying attention if they did.
Yeah, I do get the sense that it was never adequately conveyed to this guy how bad the stuff was, because it was also not really adequately known at the time how bad the stuff was.
Right.
Oh boy, I hope there's nothing like that now.
Don't worry about that.
So here's a question: what can you do with waste oil?
Refry some ravioli.
No. Don't do that.
You can use it to power your 80s Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
If it's multi-fuel, maybe, yeah. So in some cases, you get this big mishmash of waste oil, right? You can sometimes send it to an oil refinery, and they just redistill it, and they make new oil with it. Certain kinds of new oil. Obviously, you're not getting everything out of there unless it's a very advanced facility. This is how they do like multi-product pipelines, right? Where you have like a pipeline that goes, well, there's a pipeline that comes from like the Gulf Coast, goes all the way up to like Maine or so. It's a product pipeline. And like, okay, On this day, we're sending jet fuel. On this day, we're sending heating oil. On this day, we're sending fuel oil, so on and so forth. There's obviously a big mishmash at the end, that gets stored in a big tank, and it's full of all kinds of grades of oil, and they just send it back to the refinery and distill it a second time. I had no idea how that worked until like a couple months ago, and I was astonished that you could just do that. Anyway, so in other cases, you just burn the waste oil, right? Either in an incinerator or, as Bliss is doing, just selling all this as heating oil.
Oh, good.
But there's a problem with that, which is that you only have the option to sell it as heating oil in the winter, right? No one needs it in the summer. But in Missouri, there's a lot of dust.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially on the many unpaved roads. So, what do? You take the waste oil, you put it in a big truck, and you spray it on the road, and that keeps the dust down for a few months.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah,
Sounds
this
ideal.
that's such a 50s sort of like, what would we do without petrochemicals? Information
It's
film
easy,
thing.
greasy, and fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Think of it like
you have
one
a
big
convoy.
slip and slide.
You have a convoy going down the street. First, you have the water spraying truck that is the street sweeper that shoves all the toxins directly into the nearest river. Then after that, you have the DDT truck that sprays every single service. And then after that, you have the waste oil truck. So this is similar to macadam pavement, but it's greasier, right? And for Bliss, this was free, fun, and easy.
It's a safe and legal thrill. Oil
Exactly.
up those roads.
Exactly. People paid him to take the oil, and then people paid him to spray the oil that he had been paid to receive on their roads. Amazing. This is the second greatest grift we've talked about on this podcast.
It's the circular economy.
Yeah. So Bliss owns his own farm. He has dirt roads, and he has a large supply of waste oil. So it's kind of like, okay, why not? Let's give it a shot. One application on his farm was sufficient for several months of dust control. And apparently he started this practice sometime before receiving the TCDD from Nepico, right? But his reputation starts growing. He finds himself in a nice new side business, namely spraying down the roads, paths, and interiors of local equestrian facilities.
Giving the horses cancer for fun and profit.
Oh man.
Oh, they don't live long enough for that.
Oh no.
So he starts with Shenandoah Stables of Moscow Mills, Missouri.
Moscow Mills, famous home of knockoff outlet mall Stalin.
Mm.
You know what? Actually, I want to give one more thing to Missouri, which is that Branson slaps.
You go to the Moscow Mills GUM outlet. Fans of Soviet department stores are going to like that one.
Hold on, Ross.
It's there next to Saks on the Prospect. I don't know. Anyway,
doing great.
So this is the 26th of May, 1971. This is when our story really starts. The owners of this equestrian facility, who are Judy Piet and Frank Hampel, they pay him the princely sum of $150 to spray 2,000 gallons of waste oil on the floor of their indoor equestrian arena.
Oh no!
Just like, hey, I want you to kill all my horses.
Yeah, I'm going to sabotage the Derby from inside.
I don't understand. I'm not a horse girl in that sense. I don't understand.
What do you mean in that sense? No. Pause. What do you mean in that sense?
Don't worry about that.
Right,
I don't understand.
On.
I don't understand how having a big oil slick on the floor of the thing makes the horse spectating thing a more enjoyable achievement, because surely the horses are like slipping and it's like sliding, it's horrible.
Yeah,
there's no dust. You're only doing a little bit of oil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a giant slip and slide full of
No, it's
cancer
not a
juice.
giant slip and slide. It's just to keep the dust down.
Okay.
But this oil seemed unlike the oil that Bliss had used himself. It was thicker, it was darker, it left a horrible smell. But the smell did dissipate after a while, but the effects did not. So the first sign that something was off was there were hundreds of dead birds discovered in the arena the following day. They had all keeled over and fallen from the rafters.
Oh, God. Well, we'll just sweep those out of the way and bring on the horses.
Yes.
Fuck off. No. What?
Yes.
Don't horse people like their horses? Isn't that
think,
like a...
right?
Yeah, like...
So there was a horse show at this location
Not for long.
soon after the spraying. And this particular show was said by the participants and the audience to be remarkably free of flies.
I mean, it's working so well. Smells
Yeah.
awful, though.
Then the horses started to become ill with anorexia, diarrhea, abdominal bloating, bad balance, rashes, so on and so forth. And then they all started to keel over and die.
In fairness, these are all also conditions of a perfectly healthy horse that thought it saw a snake.
This is true, yes.
A horse is not a resilient animal. One reason why I identify with them a bit, but like, even still, you'd think this might be a sign that something is wrong.
Poor Snuffles thought of ants and died. There were also 11 cats and 4 dogs who fell to the ravages of the TCDD. And then Judy Piatt's 6-year-old daughter fell ill, who was frequently, sort of used the equestrian arena as a sandbox in the off days.
Oh, God. At least if you're riding the horse, you're above the worst
Oil
of it. You're
death,
not getting like
right.
skin contact for a lot of it.
Yeah,
like
you're not
that.
getting skin contact. You're not like, you're 6 years old, you're like licking it and shit,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
lead-based paint. It's not even lead-based. You'd be lucky to have lead-based paint. At this point.
Dioxin-based paint.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but at least the toasters are shining.
So, in the end, 65 horses died or were destroyed.
Or we're
Jesus.
destroyed doing a lot of work
That's
there,
like
Roz.
that's like a kind of minor Civil War skirmish kind of numbers.
Yeah.
Like the Yankee artillery killed 65 horses, 11 cats, 4 dogs, and a 6-year-old girl. Like,
The 6-year-old girl lived.
okay, well,
Hooray.
So it's not immediately clear of the cause of this rapid illness. The Center for Disease Control got involved. They were completely stumped. Is this some kind of localized pan-species epidemic, right?
Oh boy, okay.
They took some soil samples, but they couldn't find anything particularly wrong, right? There was some elevated levels of PCBs and trichlorophenols, but not enough to cause these sorts of problems because those were a little bit better understood at the time. In the meantime, Russell Bliss went on to spray 2 more horse facilities with similar results.
Oh, Jesus. This guy was just running around killing horses.
Yes, except for some reason his own.
It's like he's killing more horses than like a 1920s movie director.
What I think sort of happened here is that as he, because he owns a waste oil business, obviously he's getting more waste oil in every day, not just from, the horrible Agent Orange and soap factory. So like the concentration of dioxins in the waste oil he's spraying changes over time. Because he only got those dioxins for like a year, I want to say.
Uh-huh.
But he went on to spray 2 more horse facilities with similar results, and the owners caught on. They began the long process of, oh God, we got to remove all the topsoil in the entire equestrian facility.
What are you going to do with this incredibly contaminated earth as well?
Oh, I have a great idea for that.
Okay.
Some of it was actually disposed of properly in like a hazardous waste landfill or incinerated. But of course, some of it was also used for landscaping in a residential neighborhood.
Okay, sure. Yeah, why not? What's this playground made out of? Don't worry about it. Agent Orange, kind of.
Probably fine. Probably fine. Bliss also took smaller jobs. He started spraying like driveways and parking lots. He was spraying mobile home parks, other miscellaneous sites, but his biggest contract was yet to come. So his dust control methods had been remarkably effective and very cheap.
And this is
And
the
the
guy.
town-
You're like, I
Yeah.
don't want dust. You call this guy and his Chevrolet Kodiak of the apocalypse.
Yes, he shows up in sort of a Mad Max vehicle.
5276666.
Hail Satan.
Who wrote this shit? Cormac McCarthy? Yeah, let me just call Judge Reinhold's Waste Oil Service. What the fuck?
So the town of Times Beach had fallen onto hard times. They had never
Hard Times
paved their
Beach?
roads. Yeah, Hard Times
Good.
Beach. They had never paved their roads. There was a long, dry summer coming up and several afterwards. What do? In 1972, they hired Bliss for the princely sum of $2,400 to spray 160,000 gallons of waste oil over a period of 4 years.
Uh-huh.
So he's going to come back each summer to reapply the waste oil. That goes until 1976, and Times Beach's dust problems were a thing of the past.
Uh-huh.
In the meantime, the owners of the horse ranches were getting angry. Judy Piatt and Frank Hampel were preparing a lawsuit against Bliss, but they don't have the evidence they need, right? So they start borrowing cars and wearing wigs to tail Bliss's trucks to determine exactly where all this waste oil is being sprayed and logging everything for 15 whole months.
That's pretty badass, honestly.
Yeah.
yeah. That's kind of cool. I'm the environmental crimes PI. You know.
Yeah. Among these sites they stake out is Times Beach. And in the meantime, it's a bad time for our friends at Nepico, right? The FDA bans hexachlorophene in consumer products in 1972.
You kill 36 French kids, and all of a sudden,
Suddenly you're a villain, right?
everybody's woke.
Yeah, everyone's woke.
Everybody's got opinions.
They had to reformulate Dial soap.
And suddenly you're like, this doesn't get my kid as clean. And you're like, yeah, that's because of like the fucking tyrants at the FDA deciding that it's not a worthwhile price to pay to just kill a bunch of French children.
Exactly. You know, this is woke gone mad. So there's no market for Nepico's product anymore. They're one single product. So they shut down, and a company called Syntex moves into their part of the plant in Verona.
Again, Cormac McCarthy, but less subtle. Like,
yeah. Now, the Center for Disease Control was still working to find the actual cause of the death of all the horses and the birds and so on and so forth.
Raising hand.
Yes.
Is this the CDC? Because it looks like somewhere that just got hit with Agent Orange.
This is the CDC, yes. I think the building was relatively new at this point.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, newer than like grass?
I don't know. It might be maybe they covered it in hay because they're trying to get it to grow fast. Maybe I don't know exactly what's going on here.
It's the Centers for Disease Control, not the Centers for.
I'm doing
not the Centers for Beautiful Lawns.
I guess so. I'm doing the like Stephen King The Stand thing, but instead of being like, what are they doing in there? They're probably like, you know, doing like secret experiments and shit. I'm like, my objection is the landscaping.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
maybe this is where they dumped the like topsoil.
So they're still trying to find the actual cause. They'd taken soil samples from all the stables. They were seeing some strange results, right? Their initial theory was some kind of contamination from trichlorophenols, right? Which are well understood, used in herbicides, insecticides. To confirm this, they applied samples of the soil to rabbits.
Oh,
Thank you
Developed
for your service.
Thank you for your service, Bugs.
Yeah.
They developed irritations on their skin as expected, right? And then 2 of them unexpectedly died of liver disease.
Gosh, serve them right for drinking on the job, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
we do that.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, shit. Sorry, my bad. My apologies to the alcoholism community. I was just trying to get bits off, and I wasn't thinking that hard.
We prefer to be called people of drinks. Yeah, that's what the pod and podcaster.
Keep it moving, Ross.
Anyway, clearly something else was at work here, so the CDC started looking for dioxins.
Not to bury the lead. I'm sorry. Does this say 31,000 parts per billion?
That's not. That's
a lot of parts, motherfucker.
Not great, not terrible.
But yeah, think about it this way: it's only 31 parts per million.
I am flabbergasted. That's a lot of parts.
Clearly, however much it is, it's enough to kill a horse.
Yes, so
not a 6-year-old though.
The CDC tried looking for the dioxins, and what they found was a horrifying amount of 31,000 parts per billion of 2,378 tetrachloro-dibenzopidioxin. This was nasty stuff. This was a lot.
Horses weaker than a 6-year-old.
That's what
Just
I'm
to
saying.
confirm that. Get that on the record. Yeah.
As I said, there's like a weird way this affects different species of animals.
Yeah,
including
you could just
humans.
say horses are pussies, Roz.
Yeah, well, yeah, I honestly though, kind of.
I too am spooked at my own shadow.
Yeah. So in the meantime, there are also veterans returning from the Vietnam War, right? And they were complaining of various diseases. Many of them attributed these diseases to their exposure to large quantities of Agent Orange.
I mean, correctly, but also not just that. I feel like I've said this before about like Gulf War syndrome as well, that like if you were in the US military up until about like, I don't know, 2010 and probably later in some applications, your like immediate supervisor, your commanding officer, was almost certainly like a large lump of uranium sculpted to look like a guy.
Are not good for you.
Yeah, the burn pits are everywhere.
Yeah, like everything is coated in like 5 different horrifying chemicals. Because like weirdly, given that it supplies a whole parallel healthcare system for them, the US government does not consider troops human. So you get that. You get that benefit.
You were
10% off at Lowe's.
exposed to so many horrible chemicals that it's like really hard to isolate the effects of any single one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's why there's no like one kind of etiology for Gulf War syndromes, because fucking like they were like spraying like desert paint on vehicles in like completely enclosed tents, like shooting you up with experimental like anti-nerve gas things.
However, shiny.
Very shiny. So who fucking knows?
So when the news came down to Judy Piet and Frank Hempel that their horses had been killed by dioxin, they immediately realized, wait, like an Agent Orange? And then after some sleuthing by the CDC, they found the offending chemical plant, which had done business with Bliss, the now defunct Nepico. So those guys went on the lawsuit despite being non-existent.
I like these. I like this couple. They're like they're persistent, you know. Like,
oh yeah, they are. They are doing a lot of due diligence. They assist the CDC and later the EPA and a lot of this stuff.
The horse people, they might not have cared about the horses enough when they were alive, but once they were dead, you know,
that's a lot of money down the drain. You know, can't even make them into soap anymore because there's
Jesus.
You can't put the chemicals in the soap anymore. So with the dioxin, or with the locations of dioxin contamination confirmed, the CDC recommended that the state of Missouri get involved in the cleanup. However, with the half-life of TDCC in the environment estimated at 1 year, Missouri opted to just do nothing and let the problem sort of solve itself.
That sounds
how,
like Missouri.
how many horses can it possibly kill in 2 years?
My understanding is some of these horse ranches attempted to continue operating, and
Oh boy. Okay,
yeah,
that's
the
bold.
horses did not last long.
The horse ranch that kills your horse instantly?
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine that.
The wheels keep turning, but very, very
How can they
slowly.
keep turning, Roz? They're horses. They have hooves.
Have you seen the horses in city skylines? In 1979, the EPA, which is still only 9 years old, they finally get involved.
Which is, of course, too old to be killed by the TDCC. So
Right.
Apparently, yeah. I think before we continue here, a useful thing to remember is just how bad the damn pollution was back in the 70s. You know, how much it was absolutely fine to like dump all your hazardous waste barrels into a big hole just 11 miles south of downtown Louisville.
It gives a shit. It's in the dumpster.
It's America's red barrel room. This is where you go if you want to discuss your favorite passwords.
This is the Valley of the Drums.
Sick name.
Yeah, it's a sick name. Yeah, it's very descriptive. You think it's like music? No, it's chemicals.
I've just found a color picture of it, and it looks so much worse. Very yellow.
Oh my god, yeah.
I was gonna say brown,
yellow.
like the Doom 3 color palette.
No. It's like you can climb on this video game semiotics yellow.
Well, most of the defoliated hills you see back here, those have drums buried underneath them, which is why they're defoliated. And then eventually they ran out of space to dig anymore, so they just started tossing the barrels on top of there. This was a chemical waste dump for a very long time. I think sometime in the 70s the owner died. And then people just kept dumping their barrels there.
Funny story. There's one of these in West London, and nobody knows what to do about it. And it catches fire occasionally.
Do you not have Superfund?
No.
Oh my god. Well,
it's down to like a borough council to decide if they want to do anything about that. I'll make an episode about it.
Would probably say remediation is a good idea there. So yeah, no one knew what kind of horrible chemicals were where. No one knew what half of the horrible chemicals could do to you, right? It was assumed that if you dumped these chemicals in a hole, it was no longer your problem.
Mm-hmm.
But the pollution got bad enough that fucking Richard fucking Milhouse fucking Nixon
Nixon's
finally
back.
had to create the Environmental Protection Agency.
Also created legal services.
Before we all poisoned ourselves or dissolved ourselves with acid or whatever. So this will provide,
man.
Yes. Yeah. This will provide some context for what's coming next. A former Nepico employee reported to the EPA that the company had covertly disposed of 90 barrels of still bottoms on some guy's farm.
Oh, perfect.
Through this investigation, they also found that Nepico had left a huge tank, also still full of still bottoms, on a property of the chemical plant, right? Which no one could figure out how to dispose of because these dioxins had gotten a bad reputation. This is getting a little bit publicized now. The only way you could get rid of them was through a sort of high temperature incinerator. There was not one in Missouri. There was one in Minnesota that was willing to take it, but no one was willing to allow any of it to cross state lines.
Yeah, and who can blame them?
So this becomes a huge headache for the EPA for a while, and they wind up just isolating this tank with a big concrete berm and just say no one can go near this.
It's a different kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Fire
we're handling
and forget,
this.
but for bizarro world waste, yes.
Yeah. So the EPA decided that along with investigating this, they should probably go revisit all those stables and test the soil there.
Dead. All of them dead. Horses dead. 6-year-old dead. Richard Dixon dead.
The news was pretty bad. Rather than the 1 year half-life expected, when I say half-life here, I don't mean in the nuclear sense. I mean the half-life of the chemical sort of exposed to the environment, right? You expect it to sort of, you know, this is the amount of time that it will take for half of the chemical to sort of reduce into more benign compounds, right? They expected a half-life of 1 year. So after 1 year, half of it be gone. The next year, 3/4 of it is gone. The next year, so on and so forth. Rather than the 1 year half-life expected, it appeared the rate of contamination had not gone down at all.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Ideal.
Sure.
Yeah. So ignoring the problem was not working.
The area that kills horses forever.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I use that strategy so much in life that sometimes it does not work.
Turns out that often the problems remain.
The problems keep going, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, they put together a list of all the potentially contaminated sites in the entire state of Missouri.
It's just the state of Missouri. It's the Venn diagram's a circle, yeah.
By 1982, the EPA was ready to begin addressing this issue in an orderly fashion and in accordance with the latest science, which had also indicated that possibly the dioxin was not so bad as long as it was not present and in huge quantities, like in the stables and arenas. Right? There's some threshold here where it's much more benign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as huge of an issue. So anyway, the Environmental Defense Fund leaked all those internal documents.
I mean, I guess you got it, right? But like, did they leak those with the intention of being like, it's fine?
No.
Okay.
No, the opposite.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the first on the list of contaminated sites was, of course, Times Beach. And so the residents are really pissed off by this, right? They've been mired in this stuff for years. They didn't even know about it. They didn't know the government knew about it. What's more, the government doesn't know how toxic it is actually, but it's also, trying to defend against lawsuits over Agent Orange related to the same chemical.
Yeah,
right.
Like the feds aren't going to be like, oh, sorry, I guess now it's our responsibility that you decided instead of paving your roads to just have Judge Reinhold spray a bunch of like Agent Orange on them.
Yeah, I mean, there's just sort of general outrage that no corrective action was taken. It's a confusing situation to be in because there is, I'm again going to say there is some evidence by this point that, as long as it's not in a huge concentration, this stuff is not good, but it's not going to kill you.
Yeah, I've seen Chernobyl.
Yeah, unless you're a horse.
Right, you're fucked. You were fucked anyway.
Well, again, 31,000 parts per billion is a lot more than the concentrations we're going to talk about. So this finally prompts the EPA to get off their asses and do something, which was soil testing, right? Now, the soil testing in Times Beach indicated that concentrations were as high as 300 parts per billion along all the town's roads, right? This is well below the rate of contamination for the stables, but still above the EPA's new threshold, which had to be developed like right on the spot without all the knowledge of 100 parts per billion. Right.
Oh, so actually not great, not terrible. Then.
Yeah, actually not great, not terrible. Yeah. The CDC recommended 1 part per billion. But this is again based on nothing. On December 3rd, 1982, these tests were completed. And then on December 4th, 1982, the Merrimack River overflowed its banks, reaching 20 feet above the flood stage, completely inundating the town, which of course meant the whole town was evacuated.
So sometimes, quite often, I've done it on this episode. I think ahead too far and I say the thing that's going to happen, and I accidentally fuck the foreshadowing. And it really, I'm sorry to do that. This one, this one blindsided me.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned the river flooding, and I didn't put that together in my head, and I'm so glad that I didn't, because that was an earnest reaction of like horror there, and that realization.
Yeah, just right after all the testing, flood, everyone's evacuated.
Biblical.
Right. So, no one really knew what to do at this point, right? The town was flooded. The people were all gone. No one knew how toxic anything really was. No one was acting rationally. The residents just wanted some action, goddammit, right? Now, luckily, there was a group inside the EPA called the Chlorinated Dioxins Work Group, right? With direct experience
Not
with
a work group
dioxins.
you want to be a part of, but yeah, at least they're there.
Far more than like anyone else at that point, right? The chairman of this group had an idea. Well, if you just pave the roads and add sidewalks, all the contamination is going to be sealed underneath there. It's going to be fine.
Just build the town on top of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, it's like Centralia. Great. Okay. Terrific.
Well, no, Centralia has actual physical problems that result in the stuff being disturbed frequently. I think the paving idea was probably viable, but these guys were never consulted.
Oh.
There were now several agencies with jurisdiction over the emergency because of the flooding, right? The CDC, the EPA, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. They're all complaining at each other. They can't get along. Luckily, we have President Ronald Reagan. He convenes a Times Beach task force. With the limited knowledge they have, they come to a reluctant conclusion. Yeah, we're going to kick everyone out.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. Anne M. Gorsuch.
No relation to the Supreme Court? Just okay.
She's his mother. Anne M. Gorsuch gives the order, and the EPA agrees to pay $33 million for relocation, with $3.7 million coming from the state of Missouri. All 800 families in Times Beach were bought out and moved by the government into whatever housing was available nearby. It happened so quickly, there was not even really any organized resistance to this.
This is a rout. This is a panic. Like,
yeah, exactly. Nor was the community consulted for anything, right? Notably, a lot of people were moved into the nearby Quail Run Mobile Manor, right? That's a trailer park, which Russell Bliss had actually sprayed with waste oil much more thoroughly than Times Beach.
Right.
Oh, good.
And that was also later evacuated.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Everyone is panicking about what the long-term effects of dioxin are, what health problems they or their kids might experience. This was a complete disaster, right? It's just like, all right, everyone leave.
You never want the kind of like federal government advice to be like, now panic and freak out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
exactly. Go in, they put up the big scary signs like this one. Caution, hazardous waste site, dioxin contamination. Stay in your car, minimize travel, keep windows closed, stay on pavement, drive slowly.
Incredible haircuts on this woman as well.
Oh, yeah.
We used to let women have mullets.
Back in the day. That's what you could do in the Midwest. Yeah.
It's a real trade-off. On the one hand, the feminine mullets. On the other hand, dioxin.
But the toasters, think of the toasters.
Yeah. So shiny.
Creased jeans. Like,
yeah.
So then they start demolishing the town. Furthermore, they start going to all the other contaminated sites around the state. Basically everywhere that Russell Bliss had been, they start demolishing them as well.
How do you think he feels at this point? That like
smoking a big fat cigar he lit off the back of an oil fire.
I think he probably came off best out of anyone involved. The waste was all stored at Times Beach, being what they figured was the most contaminated site. pending construction of a powerful enough incinerator somewhere in state, which happened in 1995. They built it on the site of the town.
Jesus. Okay.
Vast numbers of lawsuits go forward. There's something like 14,000 individual ones.
Get 'em.
I know Piat and Hempel eventually settle for $10,000 from Bliss, $100,000 from Independent Petroleum, but the guys with the big pockets don't exist, right?
Right.
Most of the pertinent environmental legislation that would have punished anyone involved was passed after the dioxin-laced waste oil was applied. So there were few legal avenues to proceed here. When this disaster started unfolding, the EPA was a year old.
Right.
Eventually, Independent Petroleum pays out $1 million to each of Piat's daughters who had gotten permanent chronic health problems from dioxin exposure.
Real bad.
Yeah. But the weird thing is, as they clean up the site in 1997, they finished the cleanup. They demolished the incinerator. 2001, the site was delisted from the Superfund program. Since then, dioxins in particular have received a lot of heightened scrutiny from regulators, but there are some questions to be addressed regarding, even chronic low exposure. This problem may not have been so bad that they needed to evacuate. All of the studies of Times Beach residents revealed negligible at best health effects from the long-term dioxin exposure.
So of all the real stuff to panic about, the thing that gets the big panic and the big scary is something that turns out maybe not to have done anything.
Maybe it didn't really do anything. I'm not disputing, like over in Vietnam where you're getting, Agent Orange dumped on you like every day for months. Yeah.
Right.
But in this case, maybe you could have taken some less extreme measures. This may not have been necessary.
So they just pave over it, gang. We're right.
Pave
probably,
the earth.
Yeah. You probably could have just paved over it.
Incredible.
It's probably not that bad.
Well, I mean, it makes sense because if its job is to stick to the dust and stay there, it's gonna do that. Nobody's walking around licking dirt roads.
Exactly.
Speak for yourself.
Well, you won't be able to lick the dirt road because there'd be pavement over it.
Well, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah. Times Beach is gone now. The only building left in town was the roadhouse that was built across the river, which is now the visitor center for what is now known as Route 66 State Park.
For like to commemorate the Route 66,
which is no longer there.
Yeah, Route 66 is gone, but
it was never really a thing in the first. Okay,
it was
sure,
signed,
whatever.
but it's no longer signed. It's like decommissioned. Yeah, it's weird.
Okay, great, cool. Well, I mean, this is a perfect American story, right? Of like town that exists due to a weird capitalist swindle that fails on its own merits is then horrifically polluted by one guy in a way that then gets everybody to panic.
One guy with a truck ruined everyone's lives.
And then the feds evacuate everything, and then it turns out they never even needed to, and now it's kind of a boondoggle national park or state park.
Yes, you can go there, and I think there's like a dog park, and there's like, I don't know what else there is in there.
The negligible health effect.
Negligible health. Well, the Superfund cleaned it up good and proper. I mean, they took out all the topsoil and everything.
This is like the ideal, right, of a kind of centralized planned economy is everybody has a kind of do nothing job at like a state institution that only really exists to cover up like a series of other people's errors. This is ideal. It's
really bad when you look at this and you say you start to agree with Reagan about I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Well, in this case, the federal government didn't really make anything worse apart from, destroying
great,
the
not
town.
terrible.
They just
We did
kind of, they cleaned it all up for no reason. And now there's a state park there.
Yeah. Well, they exploded the community. I mean that. That made everyone
perfectly capable of doing that on its own.
That's a good point. Yeah.
What the hell do they got at the Route 66 state park here? Hiking trails, cycling,
I knew it.
Equestrian trails. So I guess it's fine for horses now. Picnicking
if
areas.
the horses can handle it, it must be fine.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. Route 66 captured Americans' imagination and exposed millions of citizens to small towns across the country. Okay, sure.
I have a feeling a lot of those citizens also lived in small towns at that time.
I'm much more interested in the other parks you may like. Missouri Mine State Historic Site, which looks fucked up. That's an old mine. It's in a state of extremely cool disrepair, and I like the look of it.
So, what did we learn?
Nothing.
No,
absolutely nothing.
No,
I would definitely say
government. Who's to say, good or bad or not? I don't know.
I was reminded strongly of East Palestine by this. Palestine, excuse me. Because, you have people like, we want the government to do something, and then the government does something, and
not like that.
I shouldn't have done that. Yeah.
Read. I invite.
There's an extent to which environmental remediation works, and sometimes you don't need to take the most extreme option. This is my this is my most pro chemical industry episode.
I invite the listener to read the novel White Noise. The movie's pretty good too. Cool. It's a real kind of Simuvac type situation.
Yeah. So this is they'd only been doing it for 10 years. You can't expect the EPA to not make an oopsie doopsie every once in a while. Well, we have a segment on this podcast called Safety Third.
Shake hands for danger.
All right.
Hello, Nova, Liam, Justin, and Schrodinger's guest.
Great. Well, now I'm lost.
Yeah.
It's the punchline to a joke I haven't even told. Whatever.
Oh.
Good enough.
Schrodinger's driving along and he's speeding and he gets pulled over by the cop, and the cop says, "Do you know how fast you are going?" And Schrodinger says, "Great, now I'm lost." And it's not even Schrodinger. it's
Heisenberg.
Heisenberg. It's Heisenberg. So I fucked up the joke that I also fucked up telling. I'm really tired. It's 1:45 in the morning. Can we do the thing, please?
Yes. In my current life as a site reliability engineer, which involves neither sites reliability nor engineering, quite frankly, you wouldn't think I've had any good workplace stories for Safety Third. However, I wasn't always a desk jockey, and my proper trade and education is in the kitchen.
Oh boy, a lot of injuries in there, a lot of Safety Thirds there.
Yeah.
As you might imagine, there are no shortage of ways to injure yourself or others in a commercial kitchen.
That's what I get for not reading along.
So the real trick is finding a way to do it that is novel.
Oh, okay.
Many years ago, when I was fresh out of college, I unknowingly resolved to do just that. And so we have the oatmeal incident.
Oh, God. I'm scared.
I took a job right out of college because it was available, but also because it was the only unionized kitchen I've been aware of before or since. That particular local turned out to be not so useful, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh.
My precise job as the new hire and a lowly Block 1 cook was to single man the entire preparation of our breakfast buffet. For a hotel chain you've definitely heard of in a city I know at least two of you have been to, and no, it wasn't the Howard Johnsons.
What's wrong with Hojas?
This relatively straightforward task would not have been difficult for an experienced cook with a good sense of how long it takes to do things and the corresponding ability to sort out the order of operations. Again, I was right out of college. One day when a QHL hockey team was staying at the hotel, I actually managed to run out of oatmeal.
Jesus.
The commercial preparation of oatmeal for a buffet service is not complicated, but it is time consuming, as you need to bring a liter or two of your preferred cooking liquid. I believe I used milk at the time, to a gentle boil before adding the oats, and give the oats time to cook in that liquid and the whole product to thicken up. Now, I was mortified by this, so I made sure not to repeat that mistake the next time the team stayed with us. For this kitchen, oatmeal is cooked in a large, shallow, 3-foot wide aluminum pan called a rondo. Rhymes with bondo. Thank you.
And looks like a Louisianan surname.
Yeah. The advantage of this arrangement is that you can cook a large quantity of the oatmeal while providing a broad surface area and a large enough body that you can employ 2 burners on the stove to supply the necessary heat. This was my undoing.
Okay.
As was the fashion at the time, you handled pans like this by gripping their handles through the aid of a side towel, which is nothing more or less exciting than the sort of thing you'd use to dry your dishes. Knowing that the time for the buffet to open was drawing close, I shut down the burner, seized the pan, and turned hurriedly towards the preheated chafing dish I intended to put the oatmeal inside of. But since I only killed 1 burner, the slightly oily, very frizzy towel in my left hand immediately caught fire.
Oh boy.
And at the speed of reflex, I did what any sane monkey would do and let go of the burning thing.
Oh no. Oh no. No.
The pot immediately fell from my hands, and if I'd followed the thought through and had the good sense to turn away, this wouldn't be a safety third story, but a shitty morning and a lot of hard work to clean up. Instead, I stared at the mess I was about to make and all my hard work as it fell to the floor.
No.
Then, as fluids are wont to do, the bubbling hot oatmeal happily jumped out of the pot and slapped me straight in the face.
What you did to yourself is something that sometimes prisoners in the UK do to other prisoners or prison officers on purpose. Since you cannot run a prison system in the UK without every prison cell having a kettle in it, this is a known thing, right? Like sugar and water, it sticks. It's real bad.
Yes. Skipping all the really ghastly over-explaining, this unexpected hot oatmeal scrub had the predictable effect on my ability to make logical decisions, and after being talked to by our baker into going to the hospital, I took a taxi rather than calling an ambulance. Why did you do that? It's Canada.
Yeah.
At the ER, when the staff called my parents to tell them that their son was in the hospital, my father immediately demanded to know what my little brother did that time. I escaped the worst of the scarring, and thanks to Norm Macdonald, I will never forget the phrase, always wear these safety glasses. As I hadn't been wearing my glasses that morning, things would have been a lot worse.
Jesus, no kidding.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
What we learned here is that brand new cooks should probably be reminded to slow the hell down. Side towels should be clean, dry, and free of lint. And that some jumped up hockey player from Montreal has to wait a few minutes for his oatmeal. You know, just let him.
Yeah.
Greetings from Irving Land.
Sorry.
From Patch.
Thank you, Patch. I'm glad that you did not
go blind,
lose your vision to a thing of Quaker Oats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That is.
These and other things can happen to you in a kitchen.
I want some more kitchen safety thirds because I know there's a million of them out there.
Yeah. I feel like I might cause some at some point in the near future.
me anytime I cook.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, that was safety third.
Shake hands with danger.
Our next episode will be on Chernobyl. Does anyone have any commercials before we go?
Do all the stuff in the description of the video, whatever it says.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Buy a shirt. We have
Hopefully
shirts. Probably
we
should
have
have plugged
shirts,
that
yeah.
at some point before an hour 54.
No, the Hogs will do
With
it.
merchandise.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Hogs.
Exactly. Thank
Whoops.
you, Hogs. Yeah. Do organized political violence.
Roz.
Bleep that.
Yeah.
Or don't. I don't care anymore.
Who knows? No one's going to watch it to this. Well, hopefully the content moderators don't watch it till this far.
No, don't worry. It's just AI robbing us again.
Oh my God. All right.
Bye,
That's a
everybody.
podcast. Bye, everyone.
Bye.